The City of Bristol, providing beautiful parks, economic development, and a family-friendly community.
All right, it's 6:46. I'm going to call the joint meeting on Tuesday, September 13th to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags on my left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll start with agenda item number 1. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting on August 10th, 2022.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments, changes, amendments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2.
We're
is the
having
consent
trouble hearing
The-
the mayor.
No, you got President and it's going to.
How is that? Oh, there we go. I had the button pushed
Much
the wrong way.
better.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All right, number 2 is the consent calendar. We have A through S. Does anybody wish to withdraw anything from the consent calendar? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move approval?
Second.
We'll give that one to John Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, we go to item number 3 is to approve the carryovers from fiscal year 2021, 2022 to fiscal year 2022, 2023, totaling $943,574 within the general fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. I didn't ask for any debate on that, but hopefully nobody had anything. We'll do better on the next one. And Teresa, I'll have you read the next one for me too, so that'll help me get caught up here on my paper.
Is it working? To approve carryovers from fiscal year, there we go. To approve carryovers from fiscal year 2021, 2022 to fiscal year 2022, 2023, totaling $11,677 within the Community Development Block Grant Fund.
Move approval?
Second.
Great. Is there any discussion on this one? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, Therese.
To approve carryovers from fiscal year 2021, 2022 to fiscal year 2022, 2023, totaling $784,842 within the Sewer Operating and Assessment Fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next, Therese.
To make an additional appropriation totaling $25,000 within the Coronavirus Recovery Fund for various projects.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And then number 7.
To transfer $14,450 from the general fund contingency account to operating transfers out.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. Motion carries. We're on number 8.
To make an additional appropriation totaling $28,900 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund for the Connecticut DSIT grant.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Had to wait an extra second there. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And number 9, we'll move on to you, Diane. We know your microphone works. Would you like to give us the monthly update from the comptroller?
Okay, good evening. So you have the report in front of you. There's only been a couple of months. Obviously, it's very early in the fiscal year. Everybody can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Sure can.
Okay. So it's, we just completed two months. The biggest, what happens the most, obviously, is the tax collections in July. So tax collections, came in pretty comparable to prior years. I know you have the chart there is what was collected through through the end of August. So we're really where we should be at this point in September. Keep in mind that real estate and personal property are doing 2 installments. So a lot of that, there is a lag, and you won't see probably more than 55% of that collected at this point. Building permit revenue and conveyance taxes, again, they're continuing to come in pretty steady. And on this report, investment earnings have not yet been recorded for July. So we will get caught up on that. It's with closing the old fiscal year and the new fiscal year, there's just been an overlap. 2 other things that I do want to mention, we are in the middle of the audit. The auditors did come out. They did do all of their preliminary work. They are scheduled to be back out the end of October for 3 weeks, and we're really doing our best to make sure that they have everything so that we can, meet the December 31st deadline and hopefully even get the report issued prior to December 31st. With last year, next month, a lot of what you did tonight was doing a lot of the carryovers for money that was left over in the prior year, appropriations that were unspent that needed to be carried over into the new year. Primarily the corporation council fees, we carried what's left in those funds. And then there were some capital purchases and some trust fund revenue for parks and library that get carried over. So all of that needs to happen before we can really close out all of the funds and all of the accounts. The Board of Ed is essentially done. They did report that they have a $504,000 surplus that they will be, that they have returned, but they will ask that that be sent and reserved in their 2% carryover fund. So that, again, that will probably happen in the October-November timeframe with the Board of Finance and the joint meeting, if not sooner. Any questions on the audit? Everything right now is moving along as planned. Like I said, just doing our best. The one thing that will change in this year, and I know the Board of Finance is aware of it, particularly the Audit Committee, is leases. We actually had to spend a lot of time over the last couple of months gathering all of the leases that the city has. And it's not just the city, it's also the Board of Education. And you don't realize everything that you do have. We have a lot, with the copiers, and there are some vehicles that we're leasing, and, even rentals that we receive, we have to report on the financial statements this year. Just a different manner of reporting it. So that has taken up a lot of staff time to gather all that information, but we did hire a company to help us gather all that and review it. So we don't anticipate that will cause any delay. We're doing everything we can to make sure that the audit is running on time. The one thing that I do want to report, and I don't even think I had time to let the mayor know this because I just actually received an email yesterday, late afternoon. GFOA did already award us the award for our 2022-23 budget, which I think I was amazed because I think that's the first time we've ever received a response that quickly. Usually it's 6 to 8 months before we get a response. We just submitted the budget August 14th. So I was very pleased to see that it was very, very quick turnaround. That being said, there were a lot of things with this budget. They changed the criteria. There's a lot of new things that are in the budget. We spent a lot of time trying to put in a strategic plan. The mayor and I worked on that in August to put through what the Capital Improvement Committee was doing, as well as a lot of what the ARPA Committee has been doing. So we actually did meet that criteria, and I was pleased to see that they were happy with it. So it was a good accomplishment. I could not have done it without my staff, Robin Manuel, Jody McBrain, Jessica Pilgrim, and Joanne Martin. Joanne and Jessica, this was their first year through the budget. And like I said, that it was a push to get everything in for the August deadline and to incorporate all of the new criteria. So just wanted to pass along, that's very good news. And, I think all we can do is take that budget document and move it forward and every year make improvements. The one other thing I know for the Board of Finance and the City Council, the budget is available online. If you go to the comptroller's page, you can get the budget there. If you do want a hard copy, I will probably reach out to you or Jody just to see if you do want a hard copy so we can get you a hard copy of the budget document itself. And we are also in the process of, actually we've working with putting the 22-23 budget on the new website software that we approved a couple of months ago. So that's actually looking very good, and still needs a little bit of work, but everything will be all online, and there will be a lot more information for not only you to use, but also for the public to be able to access. So a lot of good things happening, and like I said, I just wanted to share that. We just found out, I just got the email yesterday that we received that award, so that's all good, and I want to congratulate my staff for that.
Thanks,
Any
Diane.
questions?
Congratulations to you and your staff, and I do want to just call out another thing too. ClearGov is the electronic format for the budget book that Diane is talking about. So I want to thank you and your team for bringing that along as well. I know that was one of the early things that you and I talked about to create more transparency, not only for this board, and I think the charts and everything that are going to be in there are going to be very helpful for the public. So thank you for both of those things, and I will open it up to the floor here live first for any questions, and then we'll go to Zoom. Any questions from anybody here? All right, hearing none. Anybody on Zoom have any questions or comments for Diane? Hearing none, we will move on to our last agenda item, which is just any other business to come before this meeting. Does anybody have anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute break, so we'll start at 3 after on my watch. All right, it is 7:04, and we are going to call our city council meeting from Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 to order. And I'm actually going to ask Chief Hart to come in and acknowledge the honor guard and get our opening ceremonies going.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like everybody to please rise, turn your attention to the Bristol Fire Department Honor Guard for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Chief Hart has a couple words to say, and will commemorate 9/11 for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, guests. Thank you for this opportunity. Everyone remembers where they were 21 years ago. I was working as a captain at Engine 4 in Waterbury that morning and witnessed on television the events that they unfolded right after the first plane hit at 0846 hours. The bravery and dedication to duty of the thousands of FDNY members that responded will never be understood by anyone that wasn't there. FDNY members knew going in that there was a great possibility they weren't coming out, and 343 never did, along with 23 members of the NYPD. The heroism exhibited that day is replicated across the country every single day, but on a much smaller scale. Every firefighter and police officer kisses their loved ones goodbye every day, knowing full well they may never see them again. So for that, I say thank you to all our police officers and firefighters across the country, and especially in Bristol, for your bravery, dedication, integrity, and professionalism. And we will never, ever forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Hart. And I do want to echo your comments and thank all of our uniformed officers for all they do. I would also like to take a moment of silence to remember all the lives that we lost in 9/11 21 years ago. Thank you. Go to number two, which is the approval of the meeting minutes from August 10th and the special City Council Charter Revision Commission meeting on July 28th.
Move approval?
Second.
Do we have any discussion on either of them? Any comments, additions, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any, good, Jackie. I was just going to make sure. I heard Jackie. All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to go on to number 3, which is public participation. I see that we don't have a large list here for public participation. We do have a fair number of people on Zoom and some in the audience. Wanted to make sure that all of you are aware. There's been lots of questions. Obviously, cannabis is a hot topic that we are going to be dealing with, and want to make sure everybody knows the next procedural movements for this. So tonight, we are not taking up cannabis at all on the agenda, which I think many of you have noticed, which is probably why I don't have a long list here of public participation. We will have a special ordinance meeting on this Thursday. And then after that, the ordinance that comes forward from that group will come to the city council. We have not set it in stone yet because we have to assume that that's going to go through, but we're looking to set September 22nd, probably here at 7 p.m., same time, to have a special city council meeting to address that issue specifically. So for those of you that are either tuned in on Zoom or here live, you basically have a couple more opportunities as well to voice your opinion. And we are still collecting testimony through email. I would recommend that the mayor's office at the city, bristolcity.gov is one of the best places to send that along. So thanks. And again, we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. First on my list tonight is Eric Carlson.
Good evening. Eric Carlson, 187 Morningside Drive East. Just here to discuss the Sessions Building a little bit. I just want to say, that you've got a decision to make about how to handle this building, and it's not going to be an easy one because it's not an easy building to deal with. I've been a tenant in that building for about 20 years, and I had to deal with this on City Council when I was there. So, for the last, say, 10 years, you've been aggressively marketing the building. Finally found one developer out of maybe 50 that have come through this building that said, sure, we can do it. Then they looked at it, and now they haven't responded very much other than to say that they're not ready yet. Apparently, the $2 million cleanup that you've secured is not enough. I understand the desire to market it and bring some life into it as residential, which I think is a bit short-sighted because of the pollution in that building. It's just not the type of building that you should be living in. My wife says I shouldn't be hanging out in that building because it's so polluted. But it's been a kind of a home to a bunch of people, a number of tenants in that building. We've taken care of it for quite a few years and done our best with it to keep it up, keep it from, decaying further than it should, fixing leaks and everything else, and repairing the elevator, which, by the way, the water-powered elevator in that is one of apparently only 3 left in the entire country that is original in the original operation. All others have been converted or destroyed. So that's a bit of history that I'd hate to see destroyed. Part of the problem, part of what I want to discuss is that, going to residential on that building is a bad choice for a number of reasons. But one of them is because we don't have enough industrial space, a business incubator space. There's been a number of companies in this area that have started in that building. Several spring companies that are now, located elsewhere started there. I think that's a better use for that building. I'm not going to, tell you don't go through with this, but I do want to make sure that when you're dealing with the building, keep in mind that it attracts things. It attracts people, and it will attract homeless. I've heard that there was a discussion about shutting the sprinklers off and turning the heat off in the building. If you do that, I think we'll end up with a pile of ashes and bricks within a year. So I do want to, urge this council to make appropriations to protect that building. Perhaps keep the caretaker there. Keep him in his apartment. That can be done. He's on a separate meter. You know, there's a few things you can do to think about that. So I just want you to, you know, make your best judgment and do what's best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. And as you know, item number 12, we'll address quite a bit of this, what you talked about there, so I do appreciate that. Mike Arasinko, you're up next. And Alex.
For the record, Mike Arasinko, 40 Palmore Place. Initially, I was going to talk about my support for recreational marijuana, but I'll save that for the special meeting. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, and that's why he's here, is the last 2 meetings, I think you guys have been under attack by a group and unfairly attacked for baseless claims of racism. All of you have been around my family. You all know I'm in an interracial marriage, and my son Alex is biracial. Mr. Mayor, he was in your campaign commercial. And you didn't have him in your commercial because you're a racist, because you knew you were going to be a mayor for everybody, regardless of race. So I came here today because I thought it was important for the public to know. Pay no attention to these wannabe communists. And that's all I got to say about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Alex, you're being very well behaved, too. It's good for you.
For once.
All right, I don't have anybody else listed here that is live. Is anybody else here live still wish to speak? And we'll hear from Alex on and off, that's okay. Anybody on Zoom wish to speak under public comment? Okay. As I said, we'll have more time to do that. So let's move to number 4, which is announcements. I think I always start at my left. So I'm going to start with you, Jolene, on my right. Do you have any announcements?
Okay, I just have 2 from Youth Commission. There's a couple fun things for the kids coming up next month. There will be a Halloween Spooktacular Friday, October 28th from 6 to 9:30 at the Dennis Malone Aquatics. This event will be no cost. Kids are welcome to dress in their costumes. There will be a movie night in the park, scarecrow contest, and a candy giveaway. Also on Sunday, 10/31 at 6 to 8 p.m., there is a night of masked swimmer. Kids are asked to come in their favorite mask and enjoy the Halloween photo booth. Once the masquerade is over, the swimmers will be invited to the pool for a night of fun family floating. Advanced registration is required. Register online or call 860-584-3837, ages 6+, and there is a fee of $5 for that. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you, Jolene. Cheryl?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A couple announcements on behalf of the Public Works Committee. I just want to remind everybody that the West End alignment is still scheduled to begin late October. So this plan can be found on the Public Works website, but it is going to cause some traffic diversions for quite some time. So we can't talk enough that people prepare well in advance for their trips that take them over to that end of town. This Thursday at our Public Works meeting, we will be looking over the proposals and options for the dog pound, and we will be drilling down on that. So if people are interested, that meeting is Thursday the 15th. One of my favorite events that's happening in conjunction with Farmers Market is October 1st, and that is the annual shred event, where you can bring your personal items that need to be shredded down to Center Square beginning at 9 a.m. So if you've been hoarding all those papers and saying, I got to get rid of them, this is your time. So please put that in your calendar. On behalf of the City Arts and Culture, Hispanic Heritage Celebration is this Sunday at 3 p.m. in Rockwell Park. There is an entertainer, and my apologies way in advance. I took 4 years of French, no Spanish. So Orquesta La Yunquina is the band, I think, or something thereabout. So again, my apologies. They're a premier entertainer. You won't want to miss that. There is no charge for that event. The public is welcome to come out and dance along to the music. And then on Sunday, October 2nd, is the return of the Pequabic River Duck Race. There's fabulous prizes. The Block party kind of begins at 11 a.m. and the race kicks off at 1. Tickets are still $5. I have some. If anybody's interested, you can see me after the meeting, and first prize is $1,500. So all the proceeds benefit either the City Arts and Culture Committee or various other nonprofits that have partnered with the commission to sell tickets. So we hope to see you at a lot of these events or meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. And tickets, I think, are being sold through the school system as well, so you can have connections there. There are some in City Hall, so let's definitely support the duck race, and I think we'll have nice weather. All this rain will make the ducks go much faster than they would have a couple weeks ago, so that's good. Sebastian, any announcements?
Yep, one announcement. After a 2-year hiatus, the West Cemetery Lantern Tour is returning this fall on Friday, September 30th, and Saturday, October 1st, with a rain date of the next day on October 2nd. There are several time windows to choose from, starting at 6 p.m. with the tour for those with limited mobility to about 8:30 p.m. with tours stepping off about every 45 minutes or so. The tours are a guided walk through the West Cemetery while meeting some notable cemetery residents who will share some of their history with attendees. The suggested donation is $10, and you could sign up through Facebook on the mayor's page or through my page through a link there, or you can email the Historical Society at president@bristolhistoricalsociety.org. And I want to thank Nikki Laporte, who did a lot of work on the Cemetery Commission, organizing actors to play a lot of our historical residents, organizing a lot of the stops along the way, and working with the Historical Society there. So she did a great job with that.
And just one clarification, you do have to sign up for a time slot first?
You have
in
to
that,
sign
yeah,
up for a
I thought
time
I saw
slot,
that.
yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, and it looks like people are having a hard time hearing us. I pulled the microphone real close to me, so I'm going to ask that Sue, you do the same.
I don't think anyone has a problem hearing me. A few announcements. We're having an event coming up on October 7th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It is the National Faith in Blue Weekend. This is hosted by Bridge Community Church and the Bristol Police Department. A lot of fun activities, and the PD will be doing a trunk or treat as part of that event. Also, Coffee with a Cop is back, and the first one will be at Starbucks on September 22nd from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. This is a great community policing event where any resident can stop in and chat about any concerns or suggestions that they have with the police officers. And that's at Starbucks at 641 Farmington Avenue. Just a quick mention, I think, Mayor, you may have mentioned this previously, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to be attending the Police Commissioners Association of Connecticut, where Chief Gould is going to be recognized as one of the distinguished chiefs. This is a huge honor, and I think we're carpooling. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Also, just a quick note, the police department this afternoon did make an arrest in the home invasion in the northeast section of Bristol. This was something that caused a lot of inquiries and concerns from everyone who lives in our town, and I just wanted to point out the fact that the police department did make an arrest today. And the reason I want to mention this is because there's been a lot of incidents lately that kind of have people on edge and have people a little worried about what's going on. And I just want to say the police department, as always, did an incredible job. In 3 days, they did an incredible investigation, and it ended up resulting in an arrest. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thanks, and we had one question. So the police event on September 22nd at Starbucks, I think that's what they asked for, right? What time is that?
9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Great. I think I got the question.
It was not on the Bristol Police Facebook page this afternoon, but it will be very soon if it isn't already.
All right, and then I'll make sure we share it on the mayor's page as well, too. Very good. Jackie, can you hear me? I know you were having some difficulties. Jackie Olson, you there? You're unmuted, so we should be able to hear you. Okay, we'll get back to Jackie. I have kind of two announcements, but they're very closely linked. And just want to make people aware that, you know, the Memorial Boulevard Bridge is something we've been waiting for. And this is a project that we're not going to talk about a lot here, but it will be in the Public Works meeting later this week. Unfortunately, the stone for the bridge has literally been caught and delayed on a slow boat from China. So probably won't get here until late October, which is unfortunate because so many things are coming together on the boulevard. We were hoping to dedicate that bridge, quite honestly, Memorial Day this year, but it looks like that'll probably get put off until next year because of construction and the inability to do it over the winter. It is going to be a beautiful bridge when we're done with it, and you can take a look at the pictures online. It will be maybe nice for us to look at it this way, that it'll be a culmination of a lot of projects going on down there. We've obviously talked a lot about the Boulevard School, which is now complete, and they've been in classes for a couple weeks. We are moving. I was just actually at an event today at the Palace Theater. We're moving along with our community theater, which is going to be very important with that school. And then the last thing, which is really my announcement that I'll get to, is that the boulevard has been paved ahead of schedule and not in competition with Riverside Avenue. So thank you very much to the Public Works Department for doing that. The pavement is beautiful on the boulevard, but the announcement for most to pay attention to is that when that is repainted, that will be repainted as planned from, I think, 7, 8 years ago, maybe longer, to a one-lane road with a dedicated bike path, which will help us to start connect the city in the long term and is really the right type of project for the Memorial Boulevard, which is a memorial for both our living veterans and our deceased veterans that have served for us. So that's my only announcement. Jackie, were you able to get live with us? It looks like we lost her actually too. Do you see her up there? Oh, up in the corner. Jackie, do you have any announcements?
She says she can't hear us.
All right. I think we're going to have to move on, Jackie. Can you just text her and let her know we can't hear her either? And we'll have to move on. If you have any announcements later, we'll try to bring it back up. Let's move to number 5, which is the consent calendar. It's A through I. Does anybody have anything they wish to withdraw from the consent calendar? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Second.
Any other further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to go to number 6, which is reports and committee reports. I'm actually going to start with Cheryl on my right because she has something coming out of one of the committees, which I think is the only one this month. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Thank you, Mayor, and this is out of the Salary Committee, and I have a motion I'd like to read. To approve the request by the Superintendent of Water and Sewer to create a new position of Watershed Machine Maintenance Operator and eliminate a position of Watershed Crew Leader, both NIP SEU 3 pay code, and refer to the Finance Board for informational purposes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll give that one to Sebastian. And if you want to just talk a little bit about this, Cheryl, go ahead.
Absolutely. This was an easy decision for the Salary Committee to make. It really took a lead position that was already supervised by 2 other positions and make it into a crew member so that more work could be done. They didn't need this additional supervision status. It's staying the same pay code, but it allows this person to operate a backhoe when needed, regulate reservoirs and water level reports and so forth. So it helps with the preventive maintenance that the whole team was doing. So it just creates an ability to the work to get completed in a more efficient manner. And like I said, the extra supervisory step wasn't needed.
Excellent. Any questions for Cheryl or anybody else on the Salary Committee, which would be Jackie? Jackie, you with us out of curiosity? Still can't hear us. All right. We have a motion and a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Do you have any other committee reports? We're going to go right down.
I do not.
Okay. So then I'll go to my left. We don't have anything else coming out of committee for new business, right? So go ahead. We'll start with with you, Susan?
I only have, okay, so under code enforcement, I do have a motion. Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that the Bristol City Council approve the partial abatement of tax bill 21-13-0000007 for a code enforcement lien on real property known as 362 Shrub Road. The tax bill arises out of a tall grass complaint wherein the property owner has asserted a judicial defense but has agreed to remit the sum of $600. The amount to be abated is $4,714.01.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Jolene will be the second. Sue, want to just talk about this a little bit? I mean, this is work that was done. I think this is agreed upon between the two parties, and it's something that I think makes sense and certainly is a good faith on both sides, in my opinion, but I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think you just summarized it. Yeah, this is one of our code cases, and we have dealt with a couple of issues with this particular property. But with this one tall grass complaint, there was a question as to whether or not, with the timeline, if work was done a little bit premature or not. And again, I do think that the resident who was subject of this actually, instead of, taking it to an appeal process where she may or may not have won, agreed that, some of the work that was done and the value of the work, and came to a nice settlement.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the council? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Anything else from you, Sue?
I just have a few numbers for code. As we started last month, just trying to come up with a couple of numbers to give people an idea of what's going on with the code enforcement efforts here in the city. I don't have as many numbers as I had hoped for, and this is still a work in progress as well. But compared to, so for August, we had 10 blighted properties. A couple of them still remain unresolved, but they're working on it, and that's up from 8 the month before. The number of citations that were issued for the month of August was 22, and that's up from 16. The number of abatements were 2, and that's up from 0. Unfortunately, I do not have any tall grass and other numbers for this month, but it has been, August was a very active month, and that's kind of carrying over into September, so I think we should have some decent numbers at the next city council meeting.
Great, thanks. I personally like to see the citations up because I think that gets us to our ultimate goal, which is not to take down buildings or to have the city go in and clean up things, but to have the actual property owners take care of their property. So thank you for that update. Anything else from you, Sue? Nothing? Sebastian, any committee reports?
Yeah, the chair of the Cemetery Commission and myself, the chair, Mike Saman, met with the Board of Finance this past week to discuss repairs to the Civil War Monument in the West Cemetery. We received 2 different proposals and monetary figures for various work on the monument, running the gamut from the entire restoration of the entire monument to repairing the eagle on top, which I think is kind of our priority at this point in time, since the eagle is in pretty bad shape and it's in need of repair. So the board seems receptive to that idea. I think we want to save the eagle and see if we could put it back in good shape up there. So we're going to seek out the advice of another contractor possibly and see if we can get it down professionally and in a safe manner, because I think it's a delicate operation at this point, judging by the age of the monument and the state of the eagle. And we're kind of looking to move on it sooner rather than later since the eagles have, a high age there. And we'll obviously keep the council updated on any movement there in the near future, hopefully. And also, obviously, the Mum Fest at the end of this month, the Diversity Council will be there. They'll have a booth at the Mum Fest, and they'll have games from around the world. So if you're at the Mum Fest, be sure to visit the Diversity Council's booth there. And also, we'll have a representative from the Cemetery Commission at the Historical Society booth to promote the cemetery tour there as well.
Thanks, Sebastian. And Jolene, you didn't have any announcements, right? Or did you? Okay. So Jackie, do we have you? One more last
She's
chance?
actually on the phone.
See if we can hear you, Jackie. Yep, go ahead.
I have an announcement that something happened to my audio. The Bristol Commission for Persons with Disabilities is presenting a transportation forum on Saturday, October 1st, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Bristol Public Library. The forum is designed to promote awareness of current transportation services, to identify unmet needs, and to explore the expansion of accessible and affordable ride options in Bristol and surrounding towns. This is for all users of public and private transportation. Featured will be panelists from several public, state, and local transportation service providers and vendors who will be available to discuss their services. So I hope everyone will join and support the transportation forum. Thank you.
Great. And then Jackie, did you have any committee reports while we have you?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think we're ready to move on. Item number 7, which is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't believe we do. Next, though, is new business, and I know we have at least one new business item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to bring an item regarding city charter explanatory text to the council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 9-369B, that the city clerk prepare the explanatory text for the charter questions, which were approved by the City Council on August 10, 2022, and provide said text to Corporation Council for review and approval.
I need a second. Jolene has a second. Just a quick explanation for me on this one is that the ballot questions were something that were done already as we went through, but what we need this for is for when people show up to vote, the moderators at the voting place can have some reference to some of these questions. 2 out of these 4 questions I think are very straightforward, and the other 2 might need a little more explanation. So we will work with Teresa's office, and I know that Corporation Council will help us with that as well. And that will be available before we get to the absentee ballots being sent out, which will be October 7th, if I'm not mistaken, Teresa. So great. Any other questions or comments from anybody here? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right. Any other new business? Hearing none, we'll go on to number 9, which is resignations. Therese, want to read that one for me? Or review that one?
There are 4 resignations, Your Honor. The first is from Ann Munger Crystal from the American Rescue Plan Task Force. The second is from Samantha Bonafide, and she's from the Arts and Culture Commission. The third is Judith Goff from the Mayor's Task Force on AIDS. And the last one is Kimberly Karen from the Freedom of Information Advisory Board.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept the resignations and have a letter sent to each person thanking them for their service.
Second.
Second from Sebastian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go on to number 10, which is appointments. Unlike previous months, this is a little bit of a shorter list. Doesn't mean that we don't have any vacancies, so while I pull up the list, I'll just remind people listening and others that if you are interested in serving on a board, please send a message to the mayor's office at bristolct.gov. So I have a mayor's appointment first to replace Alice Ferguson with David Ryan to no term. I don't think we need a vote on that one, do we, Therese? Do we need to do a motion? Okay. Yep, that's just my appointment, so I'm just announcing that one. The next will be a motion to replace John Ferraro with Derek Jones to the Energy Commission with a term that expires on 1/25, right, Therese? Can I have that motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next is the Inland Wetlands Commission, and we are going to replace John Lafreniere with Logan Williams as an alternate member. That term will expire in 9/25. That's just the mayor's appointment as well, I have listed, so we don't need a motion on that one. And the last one, I told you it would be shorter this month, Stormwater Trust Committee. We want to reappoint Ronald Smith to a 3-year term that expires on 7/25. Can we get a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments on this one, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on.
And Your Honor, would you be willing to just talk about the school
Oh,
readiness?
yes,
The term just being a 2-year term versus a 1-year term?
Exactly. Just to clarify for the record, last month we had put the School Readiness Commission on. Everything was proper, but I had mentioned that they were a 1-year term. It's actually a 2-year term, so we just want to clarify for the record that that is a 2-year term appointment. No other action needed. Thank you, Therese. All right, we're going to move on to number 11. Therese, if you can read that one for us.
Approval of change orders from D'Amato Downs, a joint venture, for the Memorial Boulevard Intra-District Arts Magnet School totaling $293,865.44 as follows. February 24th, 2022, it's a debit of $39,161. March 24th, 2022, $310,025.02. April 28th, 2022, a debit of $66,063.88. May 26th, 2022, a debit of $13,707.23. June 23rd, 2022, a debit of $95,974, or a credit of 23 cents. And then July 28th, 2022, $123,428.37. And the last one is August 25th, 2022, $75,318.39.
So I'll entertain, a motion to approve.
So moved.
And can I have a second? So this one, I just want to take a second and do a little bit of an explanation here. Typically, we do these change orders on a monthly basis, and actually they get vetted through the Memorial Boulevard's building committee, and they get done and passed along to the city, and we approve them month by month. With a change and significant changes within our office, the purchasing agent's office, these haven't been sent to us on a regular basis. So what you see in front of us looks maybe a little bit more complicated than it is. These are credits and these are debits that go back and forth. I actually got a direct message from Dr. Dieter that I don't know that the council saw that I should pass along. But basically, the total project cost was estimated at $63 million, and up to date through the change orders that we have, which are ostensibly done, we might see a couple more of them, we're ranging at $61.5 million. So we're still under budget for this project, and what we're doing here is just reconciling all the change orders that happened over the last, I think that's 6 or 7 months. So just wanted to make sure that was clear, not only for the council, but for those watching. So does anybody have any comments or questions on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're going to move on to number 12. Teresa, I'll let you read that, and then we'll set it up.
2 resolutions regarding the assignment of tax liens to New Colony Development Corporation for 273 Riverside Avenue, the Sessions property, to clear title, and that the city partner with New Colony Development Corporation to remediate the property. And there are 2 resolutions at the end of this item.
Great, and I'm going to hold off on the resolutions for a second because I see Justin coming up. Very complicated project. We heard Eric Carthlan come up and talk about this. This has been in motion for many years, so I just want Justin to set the whole thing up. I think the council is somewhat familiar with this, but this will be a good review for us.
I'll try my best just to kind of review the summary. So we've been working on the Sessions building for probably 20 years. I've been a part of it for about 14. We started out, the building went into tax arrearage, which gave the city the opportunity to pursue grant funding for the cleanup of the building. We knew that it was a brownfield, and then that was going to pose a challenge to the building in the future regarding its redevelopment. Over the years, we worked with the owners, willing owners for the most part, allowed us to pursue those grant funds. We were successful. Dr. Ledger received grant funds. I had a hand in that years ago. Robin Bugby, who's not with the city anymore, worked on that. So we got to the point about 3 years ago, we put together a committee to coordinate a competitive bid process, because the way it works is you can apply for grant funding to clean a building, or I'm sorry, to assess a building, but to get a grant funding to clean it, you need to have a developer with a plan on board. So that committee went through, released a competitive bid. I think every response that we received was for housing of some kind. So that committee selected Vesta BHA, which is our current developer that we're working with. This whole time we've been working, I can't thank Mr. Carlson and specifically the gentleman at R&B Engine Repair and everyone involved with that building enough, because they've always really been our partner with this. It may not be, the end result may not be what they have envisioned for themselves for the building, but they have such a love for that building, they've been invaluable and always have opened the doors for developers. Now we find ourselves, and again, just a touch, I want to touch, because I do really respect what Mr. Carlson said about manufacturing space. I'm a manufacturing guy. I work so hard to try to support that industry. I'd love to work with Mr. Carlson and others to see if we can set up spaces that are maybe a little more affordable for manufacturers that are just getting going. But, you know, we want to look at the benefits. I have to look at the benefits of the workforce housing initiative, right? I mean, one of the things that we do is look to bring this to community things that it doesn't have necessarily. And I can't say that we have a converted mill project specifically, and other towns have them. We all go there, we've seen these. We can have them too, and they're not easy to pull off. They're really not. The brownfield aspect, I mean, that's, you know, where government can come in, and specifically the state and federal government, they recognize that these deals are so hard to pull off from a financial perspective. Again, Mr. Carlson touched on that. These projects can be costly to clean a building like this before you even start to invest in the property itself. So we work with the state and the federal government on grants for these. But the thing I want to talk about is the workforce housing project specifically, and why that was interesting, I think, to the committee is, it's going to bring something fairly unique to this city. I love this sort of this clientele that we would be working with for these units. These are folks that are not destitute. They're getting up every morning, they're going into their job, they're working their tails off, and they're just trying to make it work. These are middle-class folks. There are so many people like this in the city of Bristol. They just need that little extra help on the rent side. They need a consistent rent that they know will be affordable to them to get to level up, right? To get to that next level, to go spend money, go to that dinner once a month somewhere in Bristol, send their kid to that soccer camp, whatever it is. I love this. I think it's a sweet spot for government when you can help folks that are just right there. They just need that little edge to level up. And it's also workforce housing. The project is a feeder system for hopefully someday homeowners in Bristol. We need to think about that. We've got so many single-family homes in this city that are going to turn over, right? And you need to, I love the idea of sort of grooming renters, right? To eventually purchase homes in Bristol. So that's why the committee looked at the housing piece. Mr. Carlson's absolutely correct. It's not an easy project to put together. It's costly. That's where the state comes in, and that's where this particular request comes in tonight.
Oh, thank you, Justin. And just to add two other pieces, maybe to clarify something I may or may not have heard, but I want to be clear, the $2 million grant, there's not a debate at this point on whether that will cover the entire cost of the cleanup, although we did have a LEP that was done just 6 months ago. And so the developer that is on the other side, Vesta, has invested quite a bit of money into this project. That's not the issue with them, and I just want to be clear about that. They don't have their finance stacked because of increased building costs and because of interest rate changes, and they have applied for grants, and we're hopeful that they get those grants. So the $2 million that we're guaranteeing tonight is for the cleanup only, and that had no factor in what the other side of this was. There was also a mention about maintenance in the building, and I can bail you out on this one, Justin, because I've been to recent ECD meetings. We have actually been taking care of the maintenance of that building, carrying those costs on the city. If we move forward with this tonight, that goes over to New Colony, which is the land bank. And if I say anything wrong here, Justin, let me know. But that is one of the major factors that I think pushed not only the ECD, but now us as city council to move the cleanup process forward. And I think that might add a little context that helps.
Yeah. And it's a good question. I know someone had that about the cleanup piece. And it's been, like I said, 20 years of working through with different LEPs, different assessment work, including over the past 6 months. So don't forget the grant funding itself it doesn't sit with us. It's the land bank's grant. And Dale Krupp, I believe, is on the call if he wants to chime in. But it's the land bank's grant, and it's the land bank. They need to be comfortable. There he is. The land bank and his board need to be comfortable with the assessment work, obviously in regards to the $2 million. Dale is, based on what he's seen and then over the last 6 months of that assessment work. So he is comfortable. We can never guarantee something wouldn't happen and cleanup costs go over. That's where our partnership with the state really kicks in, I think. Dale has certain insurance policies that help. They're not a magic bullet. Anything can happen. We have to take calculated risks. We spent the 20 years up to this point sort of doing our due diligence and trying to minimize as much risk as we can for the city.
Thanks. And since we have Dale on, I'm going to let him speak real quickly. Thanks for coming on, Dale. If you want to add some more color, we'd appreciate it. It looks as if you're unmuted. Can you speak, Dale? And
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, now we can. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I can't hear the question because of the background noise. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, we just wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about the land bank and your dealings with this and the $2 million grant, and just give us a little bit more overview from your perspective.
Okay, so some of this and some of this probably citizens are hearing for the first time, but the purpose of the land bank is an interim step towards the eventual development of the project. Our job is to take control of the site, to clear all the encumbrances like the taxes and any other mortgages. There are probably none, but there are parties that were named, like 50 years ago. All that has to be cleared out before a developer can get financing. And our job, most importantly, is to do the remediation. So probably 2/3 of the remediation that's been identified is in the building. It's not even that much asbestos. It's lead paint. It's other things that can be quantified and removed. This site has had numerous site assessments, I think going back to 2001, if I'm correct, Justin. And through time, the difference between a phase 1 and phase 2, not to get into the weeds here, but I think it's important to know. The phase 1 is like a title search. It tells you if there's been a recent spill or an accident or a contamination that has been identified and reported to the state fire marshal or the state environmental protection agency. And so every so often they have to be updated to make sure. So you had one originally in 2001, 2003, and a phase 2 is quantifying what the problem is. So when we got involved in 2020 because of the grant, we had to do an updated phase 1, and nothing changed from the original one nearly 20 years earlier. There were no spills or no reports of any problems. Basically, the building was intact. As a matter of fact, the tenants were in the building that hadn't changed. And then as recently as a few weeks ago, we updated the phase 1, which also showed no change in the environmental conditions. Along with that, this building has been entered into the state voluntary cleanup program with the environmental professional, the licensed environmental professional, they call them LEPs. They are in effect the state, they become the state of Connecticut, the Environmental Protection Agency, and their licensure is at risk if they misinform cities and towns and communities and owners about the information. So the building has been entered into the state program for voluntary cleanup, and it's approved based on the phase 1 and all the lab testing that was done. They tested groundwater, they tested everything, and that goes in. And without their approval of this, the state's approval, as well as the remedial action plan, how they're going to remedy what they find, the project could not move forward. So the state and the mayor's office and I, Justin, and town attorneys met with the state commissioners, and the subject of your resolution is what we came up with. While the developers finish their business, we can get started. And the second part of the equation in your resolution, I haven't seen it, but I know what it says, is the clearing of the tax liens, because the taxes owed are somewhere around $1 million, I think. So the whole idea is for us to start remediation this fall and start the foreclosure process to clean up the whole title, so that when we're done sometime in the spring and summer of 23, which is about when it would be, the new developer would come in and take the town's position as guaranteeing the cleanup. We're very confident, and I have 20 years experience doing brownfield projects. I've used the same LEP and worked with the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm very confident that this project is going to go well, particularly because a lot of it is located in the building and can be quantified. We looked at some barrels and vats of things that were in the building. We tested them, and there was no major contamination there. So it's normal stuff for an old factory building that we're removing, and some of the stuff will get remedied when the developer does the site work, but they have to dig, obviously, and build the road system in there. So I don't know if there's anything else, Mayor, that I can enlighten the group with, but it's going through the process very smoothly with the state of Connecticut, and they are really the deciding agency of, what's the risk and what is the reward. The guarantee for the viewing audience is a state requirement. With any brownfield grant, there has to be a guarantee of it, either by the developer, in this case, the town, and basically the town can transfer its position to the developer probably in the near future once the developer finishes their business. So I hope I answered any questions, or I hope I've provided enough information. Please keep asking me questions.
Thanks, Dale. We'll see if we have questions. I know Justin may want to wrap this up, and then we can go into questions if we need to.
Attorney Corky, Dale did mention it, but the idea is the guarantee would be assumed by the developer for the project ultimately. So we will be able to back out of that.
Very good. What questions do we have, if any, from the council, since we have Dale and Justin here? Cheryl.
Through the chair. Thank you. From what I understand, the city is responsible for the $2 million grant. And should this project not become workforce housing, it needs to be paid back. Is that correct?
Yeah. If what we're guaranteeing, that's a good question because we want to make sure, what we're guaranteeing to the state essentially is that if we utilize state funds to clean this building, well, those funds were granted to the city based on a project for 8120 workforce housing. So yes.
Okay. So to move forward from that, we have documents that is going to clear the liens. And so at the end of this, the owner of the property is going to be, what is it, New Colony Development.
Yeah.
Okay?
While it's being cleaned.
If
Correct.
that property changes hands and they fail for some reason, they can't afford to make the apartments, anything, I don't know what is our ability to take ownership of that building back so they can't sell it off and then we're stuck paying the state back $2 million? Where is our protection?
So that's through probably what's called the tri-party agreement that we'll be working on. But the property will revert back on paper, legal document. The property will be able to revert back to us if, in fact, a developer is not able to finish the project. So then we. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say, when you say we're working on, it's part of this deal, though. It's not like we're going to sign that later on. We're gonna forgive the liens, we're gonna transfer the property, and later on, we'll have an agreement. I just want to clarify that.
Councilwoman,
Thank you.
the answer to your question is originally when this project started, there was going to be a tri-party agreement to begin with. Because of circumstances that Justin's already explained to you, the developer needs to do additional work, due diligence, figure out where the money's going to come from to do this project. So what we've negotiated with the state is the ability to do basically a two-party agreement with New Colony. New Colony and the city have already agreed that should we do the remediation, or should they do the remediation, and the work is completed, and we don't have a developer at that point, then we're going to collect the property back into our portfolio, and at that point, we will then either be responsible to the state for the $2 million guarantee, or we will find a developer at that point. I would venture to guess, just from experience, if you have a clean piece of property, there are going to be a lot of developers who are going to be interested in this piece of property. It's our gateway coming in where we want to have people, attracted to the community. It's a fabulous looking property, as you all know, and we think that this is really a very good deal. We did have to go back to the state and negotiate the ability for the city to be the guarantor at this point because we didn't have the ultimate developer, so they agreed with us. They understood the magnitude of the project. I'd remind all of you, this is the largest remediation grant in the state, and we got it. The last administration actually negotiated it. So, we're really rather pleased that this project is coming to fruition. Justin was not kidding. It's been about a 20-year exercise. We have lost many, as you know, as a former chair of the Board of Finance. We've lost a lot of revenue over the years because, like an onion, old tax liens have to peel off, and we lose those monies. So you never can get them back. So this is really finally getting to the point where we can do a development, make it work, and hopefully have something very attractive.
Okay.
Sorry to go
As you
on.
realize, as the former chair of the Board of Finance, I'm a risk-adverse person.
Yeah.
I just like to make sure the city has a clawback function. One quick question, does the Transfer Act apply to this? Is the State of Connecticut Transfer Act still in effect? Because I heard rumors that was going to go away.
Because of the brownfield organizations taking possession, we're clean.
Very good. And just lastly, thank you, Justin. I hope you continue to focus to find low-cost industrial property for our manufacturers that Mr. Carlson spoke of. I also thought he gave some very sound advice about, even though we're not responsible for the financial cost of the building this winter until things happen, that maybe we put some stipulations so they protect the asset should something happen. It's by the railroad. We don't want to have homeless in there. We don't want anybody hurt. We don't want the building to, I think his term was, end up in a pile of ash. So hopefully we'll work some of those safeguards in, but just as important, find space for these developers. Thank you.
Through the chair, I have a question. So is there a timeline? Could this building, after we do the cleanup and say, somebody doesn't come in and want to make this residential, is there a timeline? Do we have could this building be sitting there for 3 years, 4 years until a developer comes and wants it? Or do we have a certain timeline where it goes back to us?
So that's something that we'll need to work with the land bank and the developer on. This building will not sit for 3 years without clear direction. And it's not just me saying that, it will be the state as well. If it's not going to work with any developer, that developer will have clear sort of deadlines on what they would need to meet. And if that does not happen, we need to move forward with our plan for acquiring potentially a new developer.
Okay, thank you.
And just to mention that Vesta has put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this. They do have the SIF grant out there as well, too. So, it'll take, I think, a year or two to clean up this building, 2 years to clean up this building, and hopefully we'll all still be here to make a decision on what happens on the other side if we come to that. There's no guarantees in life, but the risk, I think Attorney Kowicki put it well, that we're taking here with the millions of dollars that we've lost, and now we're going to forgo $1 million of tax liens, and the property value itself, which I think is about $1.1 million now, as an unclean building, you make any improvements to that building, and we're recouping our loss very quickly if you look at it as a loss. But, it's a $2 million investment in a building that's going to be well worth beyond that after. So those are just some of my thoughts. Any other questions? Sue?
If it were to come back into our portfolio and we were not able to find a workforce type investor, I'm just trying to clarify this, we would be responsible to the state for the $2 million cleanup if we wanted to go in a different direction and say, go to manufacturing?
Potentially, unless in our conversations with the state, it was waived. I don't know. I don't have based on my knowledge, a history of that happening in other communities. But theoretically, that's the idea. The state granted us those funds because the state sort of bought in and they acknowledged what I was saying earlier, that 8120 workforce housing project is something this community could really need and benefit from. So it would be further discussions if we went in a different direction. The good news is myself, Mr. Krupp, we have really close ties with DECD, the granting agency. They're always willing to speak with us, so that could be a discussion. I don't want to say that then that would mean we owe the $2 million back. It could, but sort of the reason we're here now is those relationships. So I like to think we'd have some options.
I will also just add, too, if I'm not mistaken about this, Justin, is that we kind of went to DECD and suggested this. This is kind of an unprecedented process to keep something moving, and that's really the ultimate goal here, is to get the cleanup instead of having $2 million sit there. So I don't know that they've ever done it in this fashion before, but it was something that we really did pursue with them, and they were very gracious in working with us, I think.
I have to thank them a ton for this.
Through the chair, I have just one more question, I'm sorry. Is there any way we could do both in that building?
What's that?
We could do the residential housing, and then we could also do workforce.
Do you mean the manufacturing?
Yes.
Or no?
I mean,
yeah,
okay.
there's
not so much
there's
industrial, but
there's some zoning challenges there. The building could be mixed use in other ways. It's just not what we've seen from the development community. What makes sense for that property?
Okay. Thank you.
Other problem like the
and to be
idea,
fair, we're just not at that point right now. What we're really debating and thinking about is, do we want to take a slight risk, in my opinion, and guarantee the cleanup to get the cleanup to happen? Because we still have Vesta that is the interested party to do this. They weren't ready to sign the tri-party. We didn't want to wait for that. And we will have an opportunity, as long as we all get reelected, to go ahead and consider next steps if we get there.
And I don't think it'll take 2 years to clean.
No,
Yeah, I think we'll be out earlier.
Through the chair, if I could just clarify, because we were talking about workforce development, and Justin, you kind of alluded to the fact that it would be exclusively workforce development, but not necessarily market rate housing. Is that true? Could you clarify that?
Yeah, I may have said workforce development. I meant workforce housing. So what the proposal is for Sessions is apartments that are priced to be affordable for those who earn 80% to 120% of the Hartford County area median income. So these are not destitute folks. These, like I was talking about earlier, these are middle class people. They're getting up, they're going to work, they're trying to make it work. So in reality, the rents will not be that different from what you see on the market now. But the benefit there for renters is they'll know, we're all getting hit right now with price increases that are like out of control, right? Gas and food and everything else. Even in an environment like this, those renters will know that rent will stay within a certain guideline. This is dictated by the state of Connecticut. And the idea is we want to make rents for folks who are working hard, and just new construction rents are a little bit out of their reach. So,
And that income percentage, is that part of the agreement with the state?
yeah. And there's levels of this in this game, right? So this particular type of housing is something that was proposed to us originally. The city at that time they were looking at that type of workforce housing, not something maybe lower. And that's been our discussions with Vesta BHAs. Hey, listen, you came in with that project. We would love for you all to bring that project to us, not anything different.
Okay. Jackie, I'll do one reach out to you because you unfortunately hadn't been able to speak before. Do you have any questions or comments, Jackie? You are on mute if you are still connected. Okay. Hearing none, I think we'll move forward. We have two resolutions here. Therese, what's the best way to do this? Do we want to read the resolutions, or can we waive the reading of the resolutions?
You can waive the reading of the resolution if you choose. They are rather long, so.
Yep, I would recommend that.
Through the chair, I would like to introduce a motion to waive the reading of the resolution under item 12.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then I think we need a motion, a motion to approve the resolution, and it will be a roll call vote, right,
Right,
Therese?
and then we got to do the other one.
Yep.
Oh, through the chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 12, the resolution known as the Sessions Building remediation.
So you'll help us with this on the wording, yep?
I might suggest that the resolution that you want to first adopt is the one to guarantee the performance by NCDC.
Yep.
Okay, is that 12B?
There are no.
They're not A and B,
They're not
so that's
marked
what made
A
it
and B, so
complicated, but-
I would just suggest the one that is the guarantee of the performance of by.
With the brown, okay.
Yeah,
With the new column.
in para 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth paragraph down references the guarantee.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the guarantee of the Sessions Building under item 12. Does that work? Okay.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, you're doing a good job. That wasn't easy. All right, I'll let you do the roll call vote. Therese?
Lusitani? Tebow?
Yes.
Paniotto?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
And Jackie, can you hear me? And I don't know if,
Did you say yes? Yes.
yes, okay. And
All right.
Mayor?
Yes.
And the second motion I would suggest should be the
Tax lien.
assignment of tax liens as referenced in the resolution to NCDC.
You added a lot to that. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the resolution that assigns the tax liens assigned to New Colony Development Corporation.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Quick learners, I like it. All right, all those, actually, sorry, roll call vote. I almost jumped ahead of you, Therese, sorry.
Tyler?
Yes.
Paniotto?
Yes.
Tebow?
Yes.
Lusitani? Yes. Jackie Olson? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah,
We got it to work.
wonderful. And Mayor?
Yes. Excellent. Both resolutions carry, and we will move on. Thank you for the great discussion, everybody, too. I think it's an exciting project, very complicated, so I appreciate the audience's patience as well. Number 13, Therese, can you read that one for me?
Authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute an amendment to contract 2021-72A with Tobacco and Son Builders Incorporated. And the numbers were changed today by Ray Rogozinski. It's for $168,945.11 to perform roadway storm drainage repairs, improvements, and preparation of road paving, resurfacing, increasing the contract amount from, and again, these are changed, to $1,441,871.20 to $1,610,816.31.
Thanks. Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second, Sebastian. Any comments or questions? And we do have Ray here. He's been waiting patiently, so if there's any questions for Ray. Ray, thanks for the amendments and the changes.
Yeah. I would just add that Ray did point out that there is significant funds available in the major roadway improvement fund, so this does not have to go to the Board of Finance as well.
Excellent. Good news. Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, Therese.
to amend contract 2P2131B with D'Amato Downs, a joint venture for City Hall renovations for $218,132.02, and to authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute, increasing the contract from $28,059,428 to $28,277,814.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments on this one? This is something we'll be seeing on an ongoing basis, much like I talked about earlier with the Memorial Boulevard project. This will be kind of a monthly approval of change orders. We're still early in the process. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Jackie. We heard you. All right, number 15.
To approve contract with HF Lens Company for the Esser ARP project for $349,000.
Can we move approval?
Move approval.
Any questions or comments on this? Jolene, anything to add from this, from your perspective?
To the chair.
Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
I was just wondering what the project is. Can someone explain that?
Jolene?
Yes, it's to redo the HVAC system at Chippens and Hubble. And with that, becomes electrical work and everything else.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
It's upgrading the HVAC for Chippens, and possibly there's any money left over to help out Hubble as well.
And so ESSER is just the school projects
Right.
that are through ARPA. This goes through the school board that's approved, but ultimately anything that gets spent in this city
It's-
has to come through us. so.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. I lost track here. Number 16, Therese.
To approve the letter of intent for a virtual net metering credit agreement between the City of Bristol and Verigy LLC, and authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute any documents to effectuate the letter of intent, subject to review by the Office of Corporation Counsel.
Yep. Cheryl, I'll let you do the honors here.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to postpone this agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, and just quick commentary here. We're still working with Verigy. There's a lot of assignments to this net metering, and the city is pretty full up with a lot of these projects that we've had, and so we're just not ready yet to do this. So it was on the agenda. We thought we might be there, but we're not quite there yet. So we're going to postpone this. I don't think we'll have any objection to that. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody? Oh, go ahead.
Do we have to vote? Oh, because we had a motion to postpone.
Yep. Nobody's opposed, I assume? Nope, we're good. Motion carries. And then we're going to do the resolution, and I'll let you read that one, Therese, and we'll get it pulled up on our computers.
Resolution regarding establishing a task force to propose a fair rent commission.
So,
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to waive the reading of the resolution.
yep. Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
And Jason, since you're here, I don't know if you'd like to get up and talk quickly about the Fair Rent Commission for the group. I think we're all pretty familiar, but it'd be good for the public.
Happy to. So this past legislative session, and the governor signed a law that was passed by the legislature, which required cities of 50,000 or more to establish fair rent commissions. Fair rent commissions have existed in our statutes, but they were voluntary for towns to take up. But now we have, as a city of more than 50,000, until July of 2023 to establish one. So the resolution before you is to create a task force to make recommendations to the ordinance committee and the city council as to what the ordinances should look like to establish this commission.
Great. And we'll have to do 5 of them before the date on here, September 27th. We have some names coming in, but just want to remind the council members or people in the audience that might be interested to let us know. Any questions for Jason? All right, hearing none, I think we're ready to do a roll call vote.
Lusitani? Yes. Tebow?
Yes.
Paniato?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.
Did you want to turn it?
Not yet. Motion carries, great. Let's see, we are on number 19 now.
18.
Oh, 18, sorry.
Approval to submit applications for the fiscal year 2023 Distracted Driving High Visibility Enforcement Grant, 2023 DUI Enforcement Grant, and the Click It or Ticket Grant, and authorization for the mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents.
Move approval.
Do I have a second? Yep, thank you. Sue? Any comments or questions on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And number 19.
Approval to submit an application for the Connecticut Department of Transportation fiscal year 23 Highway Safety Grant, traffic records for $262,442 for the procurement and implementation of e-ticket printers and laptops, and authorization for the mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Go ahead.
So does this mean they can issue their tickets faster, instead of writing them out by hand? There we go.
Chief Gould is excited about that. That'll be good. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, and we'll move on to number 20, which is an executive session. Before we do that, who's coming in with us? Ted?
It'll be the 4 members of our office.
Okay, great. So I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Susan, second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. No votes were taken. Can I get a motion to get us out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we're out of executive session, and now we have a motion.
I hereby move that the City of Bristol enter into a full and final settlement in the matter of Melvin Dickow versus City of Bristol for Workman's Comp Case 601019315 in consideration of a payment of $250,000. This settlement resolves the outstanding Connecticut General Statute Section 7-433C claims entitled Benefits for Policemen or Firemen Disabled or Dead as a Result of Hypertension or Heart Disease. This settlement shall be paid in 2 equal installments of $125,000, the first payment being made forthwith and the second payment of $125,000 to be paid in January 2023. I further move that the City of Bristol enter into a full and final settlement for any and all workman comp claims filed by Melvin Dickow for the total amount of $150,000. The dates of these claims are listed below, but are not limited to R4, November 4th, 1974, September 19th, 75, October 10th, 76, March 17th, 77, June 23rd, 78, October 15th, 79, October 4th, 80, June 10th, 88, January 13th, 89, December 22nd, 90, October 30th, 98, February 6th, 2000, and March 3rd, 2000. I further move that the mayor, acting mayor, corporation counsel, or assistant corporation counsel be authorized to execute the full and final settlement.
Thank you. Second? Do we have one? Jolene has a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business to come before us? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You choose. We'll go Cheryl do the motion, and Sebastian got the second. They were tied on both, I think. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.